The tape was already around her neck before she thought to be afraid. It pressed there, cool at first, then warm, then something else entirely. Something that had no name in the language of ordinary things. Amara stood still in the dim shop, the way you stand when you don't want to disturb a spider that has already begun its web around you. She told herself it was nothing. She told herself Mama Titi was just measuring. That was what tailors did. They measured, they cut, they sewed. But the tape did not feel like cloth. It felt like fingers. The village of Waineba sat at the edge of a forest that nobody walked into after dusk. Not because the elders had forbidden it, simply because something about that tree line, the way the branches curved inward like a crowd turning its back, made the body want to go the other way. The village was small but proud. Red dust roads, painted fences, mornings that smelled like groundnut oil and wood smoke. Children who ran barefoot and loud until their mothers called them in. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everything about everyone, and yet Mama Titi had managed for 30 years to remain something of a mystery. Her shop sat at the far end of the main road, separated from the other stalls by a gap that nobody seemed to have planned. A narrow building with a green door that had once been blue, and before that, some color nobody could agree on. A hand-painted sign above it, Titi's Designs, all occasions, quality guaranteed. The paint was fresh. It was always fresh, as though the sign renewed itself in the night. Mama Titi was old in the way that certain things are old. Not frail, not slow. Old like iron left in the earth, harder for it. She had fingers that moved with the certainty of something that had been doing the same thing for longer than memory allowed. She did not speak much. She did not smile often. But when she did smile, it was wide and warm and the kind of smile that made you feel chosen. Mothers trusted her with their daughters' measurements. Brides brought their most anxious hopes to her table. Girls from the surrounding villages made the trip specifically to have Mama Titi cut their cloth. She did not overcharge. She did not gossip. She delivered on time. She was, by all visible accounts, simply a very good tailor. Amara was 17, and she had been sent to Mama Titi for the same reason any girl her age was sent there. A ceremony was coming, the kind that required new clothes, the kind that required looking like the best version of yourself, so that everyone who saw you understood something about your future without you having to say a word. She arrived on a Tuesday, in the late afternoon when the light was golden and the road was quiet. She carried a fold of deep indigo fabric her mother had saved for 3 months, pressed flat and wrapped in plastic like something precious. She knocked on the green door. The sound disappeared into the interior like a stone into deep water. Come. The inside of the shop was smaller than expected. Bolts of fabric lined the walls, floor to ceiling, every color, every texture. A sewing machine sat on a wooden table by the window, old but functional, its needle catching the last of the outside light. The air smelt of old cotton and something underneath it, something faintly sweet, faintly wrong, like fruit kept too long in a closed room. Mama Titi emerged from behind a curtain at the back. She looked at Amara the way a woman looks at something she expected. The tape came out from nowhere. One moment, Mama Titi's hands were empty. The next, the measuring tape was already moving, already finding the geometry of Amara's body with a speed that felt practiced past the point of craft. Shoulders, waist, hips. The old woman moved around her in silence, the tape whispering against fabric, against skin. Then it went around her neck. Amara said nothing. This was normal. Necklines required measurements. She knew this. And yet, the moment the tape settled against her throat, something shifted in the air of the room. A pressure change, the kind you feel before rain when the sky hasn't decided yet. The tape tightened. Not enough to choke, just enough to feel deliberate. "Don't move," Mama Titi said. Her voice was very soft. Amara did not move, but her eyes moved to the curtain at the back, swaying slightly as though something on the other side had just stepped away, to the two small girls standing in the far corner, holding their own fabric. They were not playing, they were not talking. Their eyes carried a flatness that children's eyes should not carry. The tape stayed at Amara's neck. 1 second, 2, 5. Then it dropped. She left with her dress order placed. She walked home the same road she always walked. But something felt different. Not wrong exactly. Like a word you keep trying to remember. Like a song that stops just before the last note. The first thing she noticed was the forgetting. Not dramatic forgetting. Small things. She reached for the name of her best friend's younger brother and found only air. She tried to remember the song her grandmother used to hum while cooking and could only recall the shape of it, like a word in a language she once knew and had somehow let go of. She stood in her own bedroom one morning and felt for 3 full seconds like she had never been in that room before. But there was also the other thing, the feeling that something was missing from the center of her chest. Not pain, nothing so clean as pain, more like absence, like a sound you have been hearing for so long that you only notice it when it stops. She collected her dress on the 5th day. It was perfect. The stitching was extraordinary. The indigo fabric fell exactly as her mother had imagined it. Mama Titi handed it over without warmth, without the wide smile. She looked at Amara the way you look at a transaction that has been completed. Amara wore the dress to the ceremony. People told her she looked beautiful. She smiled, she danced, and at the edge of all of it, she felt like she was watching herself from a slight distance, as though the girl in the indigo dress was almost her, but not entirely. It was Chiamaka who said it first. Chiamaka was 3 years older, and she had gone to Mama Titi in January for a burial outfit. By February, she had become quiet in a way nobody could explain. Not sad. This was dry. This was hollow. She forgot the names of flowers she had grown herself. She stopped finishing sentences. Her mother took her to the clinic. The doctor found nothing. Her mother took her to the pastor. Nothing changed. And then one evening, Chiamaka sat down and said, in a voice like someone reading from a document, "Something is in the measuring tape." The elder's name was Nana Adwo, and she was the kind of woman who had outlived so many explanations for things that she no longer bothered with surprise. When Amara came to her, because it was Amara who put the pieces together, who went from house to house and listened and counted the girls and followed the thread, Nana Adwo listened without interrupting. "There is a thing," she said finally, "that the old people called the Sonsum thief. It does not take everything at once. Everything at once would be noticed. It takes in pieces. The part of you that makes your laugh sound like your laugh. The self, the thing that knows it is inside you." "Why?" Amara asked. The old woman looked at her for a long time. "Because it keeps someone else alive." Amara went back to the shop on a Thursday morning. The green door was open. The curtain at the back was heavy, old velvet, now a color between brown and black. She held it at its edge for one moment of full honest hesitation, then pulled it aside. The room behind it was small. A single candle burned on a low table, though no one was there to have lit it. On the walls, hung with the same care as the patterns in the front room, were pieces of fabric. Dozens of them. Small swatches, each one stitched with a name. Not labels, names. Girls she had grown up beside. Girls who had come to Mama Titi for celebration clothes, for something to wear to the thing that would mark the rest of their lives. And then her own name, at the end of the row. "You came back," Mama Titi said from the doorway. "They always come back," she said, "when it's almost done." She stepped into the room. The measuring tape was already in her hands. "A dress needs the full measurement. I only took the first one, the neck. One more and you are complete." She tilted her head. You won't feel it. You never do. Amara grabbed the swatch from the wall. Her own name, her own fabric. She grabbed it the way you grab something you know belongs to you even before your mind catches up with your hands. And the moment her fingers closed around it, she felt something return. A warmth in the center of her chest. The sound coming back, the frequency that had been missing for 2 weeks suddenly restored, suddenly hers again. Mama Titi's eyes changed. Something behind them registered a loss. She lunged and Amara ran. Through the curtain, across the shop, through the green door, into the road, into the morning light that was as ordinary and as extraordinary as anything she had ever felt. By evening, the shop was a different kind of quiet. The green door locked. Mama Titi was gone, completely, leaving behind only the shape of where she had been. The girls recovered, slowly, imperfectly, like bones that knit in cold weather. Chiamaka's laugh returned last. It never sounded exactly the way it had before, but it sounded like hers, and that was enough. Amara kept the swatch folded in the bottom of a drawer, under everything else, because she had learnt the hard way that the self is not abstract. It is as real and as stealable as anything sewn from cloth. 3 months later, a new tailor opened a shop in the village 2 roads over. Nobody knew where she had come from. She looked young, in a way that sat slightly wrong on her, like a dress taken in too many times. She smiled wide and warm. She delivered on time. She did not overcharge. She was by all visible accounts simply a very good tailor. And the measuring tape around her neck, it was already moving.